So this morning we're going to begin a new emphasis in the life of our church. We've completed the book of 1 John. It took us several months to walk ourselves through it. But this morning we're going to begin a new emphasis on expanding the house. Now, I got this, the inspiration for this from all the things that we've been taught from the church in California that's been coming to help us, and then other people along the way, understanding what the eternal purpose of God truly is. And the eternal purpose of God is simply this, that He wants to build His house amongst His people. And that's what the church really is. It's the house of God. And we talked about this just a few weeks ago. But in order to get there, I need to tell you a little story of what happened. I believe it was yesterday. Yesterday was obviously Saturday, and you have to bear with me. I've had 8, 9, and 10-year-old girls in my house for the last almost 12 hours. We had a slumber party. It was outstanding, by the way. I went to bed at, I don't know what time it was. And I have no idea what time they went to bed. So you can imagine what it was like to live in a household with that many small girls. They were very quiet, by the way. No, they weren't at all. And so, but it was Grace that is really the inspiration for where I want to go with this. She was supposed to have played a soccer game yesterday morning about 8:15, 8:30 in the morning, and she's been struggling with her asthma all week long. And this has been one of the worst episodes she's had in quite some time. And so it's just, she's been kind of in and out of school. She's been up all night, almost every night of the week, taking breathing treatments and waking me up and waking Kathy up, and just kind of going back and forth. And so we had to kind of parent up, I guess is the best way of putting it, yesterday morning, because she gets up and she takes her treatment and she's thinking, I'm going to go play soccer. And I said, you're not going to go do anything. And so Kathy said, you got to be the heavy, you got to go in there. And I'm going, this is Grace, I can't be the heavy. And she goes, you got to parent up, you got to be a man. And so I had to go and tell her, break her the bad news that you don't get to play. There was a lot of stomping and screaming, there was crying and yelling. And I said, I have to hold my ground with this. You can't play. Otherwise, if you get out there and start coughing and hacking and all sorts of stuff, and you have an asthma attack out there on the field, then I'm going to have the worst skills of all time, and then people look at me like you're the worst parents of all time. So you're not playing. That still did not go well. The logic was lost on her. And so I think about it was probably, oh gosh, it was probably about 9:15 or 10 o'clock. I guess probably more closer to 10 o'clock. We got a text message, or Kathy did, from her coach saying that her team had won 2-1. And so we were actually somewhere else, and I got home and said, Grace, here's the good news. Your coach said that your team won 2-1. She was excited. I said, but the bad news is this. Because of this, whatever reason, you play this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And first of all, my first thought was, why in the world did anyone schedule 4 games in 4 days? I mean, seriously, it's 10-year-old soccer. I mean, it's not World Cup. And so I said, you play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here's her response, and this was extremely convicting to me. I realized very quickly that God can speak through His body, even if it's through a 10-year-old child. Her first response to me goes, well, I'm not playing on Sunday. And I looked at her, and I'm thinking, understand my concept here, my thinking. We're going into this conversation. I'm already rearranging things to get her to be able to play in case it's in the afternoon, whatever. And her only response was this, I'm not playing on Sunday. And I had to go to my room and repent of my sin because I'm trying to work things out. And she saw it in her faith. I thought, wow, that's pathetic on my part. But I thought, how convicted it was, for her, because for her, Sunday is church day. Whatever that means in her mind, Sunday is church day, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. Regardless if we can move schedules around or whatever, we're supposed to be doing church stuff, whether it's here on Sunday morning, whether it's the junior high that's coming to our house in the afternoon, whatever it may be, today is church day, and it's devoted to that. And here I am, the pastor of the church, and her father is supposed to be the spiritual leader, and I'm having to go repent of my sin, because I was trying to say, no, Grace, we can work some things out. But in her mind, there was no working anything out. It was, we don't play on Sunday. And so now we have to go break this news. I'm going to have to parent up one more time and break this news to her coach that she's not going to be there if we play on Sunday. But it was inspiration for me because I thought, you know what? Here she is leading in a way. The Holy Spirit has spoken through her to me because church is important to her. I wonder how, and I throw myself into the mix, how many of us would have that same kind of faith in God that, you know what, I honor you with setting aside this day for me. And I bring Grace up because she's also really a second part of the inspiration of where I want to go with this, of expanding the house. As we said, the eternal purpose of God is He wants to build His house amongst His people. From the book of Genesis to the book of Revelation, we see God time after time after time attempting to build His house amongst His people at the time now where we're in the house of God, the body of Christ, the church. And I think there comes a time when we begin to look at it, there comes a time in the life of our church where we have to expand. And the reason I get to this is several years ago when we were living in Seattle and we found out that we were pregnant for the 4th time. Understand this, okay? You have to kind of get this concept in your mind. We were living at this time, there was 5 of us, in about a 1,300 square foot home. Okay? Honestly, that's what we could afford. And it was, you know, we thought, wow, this is great. We love this little house. And we had now no idea, honestly, how small it was about to get. But at this point, we thought we had the girls in one room. It was a 10 by 10 room. And Jackson was in another room by himself. But we did not know at this point whether we were going to have a boy or a girl. And so here we're thinking, and Catherine and I were in the quote-unquote master bedroom. It wasn't anything really master to it. It just had a mat attached to it. And that was really why they called it the master bedroom. And so we're going through, you know, how are we going to do this? What if we have a 3rd girl? How are we going to go about, where's she going to go? Because we didn't really want to put one of the girls in Jackson's room because it was all boyish stuff. And we knew that there was not enough space in the girls' room. And we figured this out one night when Gracie was about, at that time, she was probably 3. Maddie was probably about 1.5 years or so, maybe 2. And we hear this noise coming from upstairs. Okay? This is after bedtime, mind you. And we hear this noise coming from upstairs. And of course, you know, we're parents and we were young and we were psycho. So we immediately run upstairs to find out what the noise is. We open the door thinking someone's hurt, whatever. And what we find is the girls are bouncing on their beds. And then bouncing across the room onto each other's beds. And that's when we realized, okay, 1, we are in big time trouble. 2, we've got to figure out how are we going to expand this house in order to get another child into the house. Remember, Daddy's starting to get a little wider at this point. And so we did 2 things. 1, we started praying, God, make this a little boy. And whatever you have to do, you know, in your infinite wisdom, we need another boy. Or we need another house. And so we had a real estate agent and that was in our church at the time, and then we had a lady who did loans for mortgages. And so we went to her, and I sat down with her. She worked up all the numbers. Said, "Okay, I'll come back to you tomorrow, and we'll sit down with all this stuff." So I came back the next day. We sat down with the numbers. She didn't even open up her manila folder, which is never a good sign because that's where all the stuff was on the inside. And she looked at me and said, "Here's the deal, okay?" She says, "If you sell your house," okay, all we can understand, we were just looking for one more room, a house with just one more room in case we had another girl. She said, "Here's the deal. If you sell your house, you don't make enough in order to buy your own house back." And I thought, wait a second, what does that mean? She said, if you sell your house, your house has appreciated so much, you can't even buy it back, you're going to be out on the street. And I said, okay, at that point we had a problem. Because our family is expanding, we can't buy another house, so what are we going to do? We've got to expand something at this point because we have a child coming. Thankfully, God answered our prayer. Our backup plan was basically this, that we were going to move Kathy and I out of the master bedroom into one of the 10 by 10 bedrooms in order to put 3 girls into the master bedroom. Because we had one, didn't have enough money, couldn't afford another house, and because the house was so small, there was no way we could actually expand on the outside of it. And so thankfully God answered our prayer. Well, we had another boy, Walker, which I'm not sure was answered prayer, but whatever. It is what it is. And so, and you know the rest of the story. We're no longer there, we're here, and that type of thing. But I wonder how often we struggle when it comes to the church of expanding the house of God the same way. Have you thought about that? You know, that we get comfortable where we are as a church and we like the way that it is, even though God's eternal purpose is for us to build His house and continually go and find other people to be a part of it. To see the house of God expanding. In fact, one of the last things that Jesus spoke to us, and if you've ever been in the presence of someone who is dying, their last words are usually very significant.